Close enough. I'm going to call the meeting to order. And roll call. Jim Gibberti present.
Peter Dunlop present.
Donna Bronk present.
Sandy Slavin.
That's 4.
When did you open it? What was the time, please?
6:29.
6:30, close enough.
Yep. Okay, so we have 4 of the 5 sewer commissioners present. We have meetings from the 13th, and Peter picked up an error that we have right off the bat, and that is that he was listed as absent, but he was asking questions at the meeting, so unless there was a ventriloquist. So
Okay.
do we want to do something with these subject to correction? Or just postpone until next meeting? Hello, anybody?
Wow.
I can't, it's, I was absent. It's not up to me.
But how did you ask a question in here then?
Actually, I seconded something here.
Yeah,
What
you
did I
did. You did.
What did I second?
Oh, yeah, Commissioner Dunlap seconded.
Yeah, but I wasn't there.
Oh, you weren't there?
Not according to the minutes.
Oh,
No,
yeah. Yes, you were. So what do we do? Just make the correction, right?
Yep.
Accept, make a motion to accept them with the exception of the correction that Mr. Dunlap was there?
but I wasn't.
You make a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
Okay, that sounds good. That's what I'm doing.
And who seconded it?
Nobody yet.
Sandy, is that
Who
a second?
seconded in the minutes? I wasn't there.
Is this who's on first? Is that what
No,
you're
think about it. If I was not there, therefore I could not have seconded whatever that motion was.
Peter, you were there, right?
No,
You missed the May 13 meeting,
on the 13th, right?
Oh,
and I did not hear it enough. So what is the amendment?
There isn't one then.
well, it says that he seconded a motion back on the grinder pumps. Eh,
It doesn't state who made the motion.
yeah, it does.
Who?
I made the motion.
I'm looking at the minutes.
Yes.
Grinder pumps. I see.
Item 5.
Yes. Where is there a
It's
motion?
Web's.
Of 4 lines down, 5 lines down. Policy states.
And that was the policy of March 21st, 2019, that they were
And that's
talking.
all fine, well and good, but I was not there, Sandy. I did not second Donna's motion.
On March 21st,
A year ago.
a year ago.
Yes, okay.
This was a
This
year
is
ago.
not a motion for the May 13th meeting. This was what
March
was
21st,
happening on
2019.
March 21st, 2019. That's what that in parentheses was talking
Right.
about. So are we saying that the minutes from May 13th is now correct?
Yes.
Then I make a motion that we accept them.
Do I have a second? No, yeah, I've got to second it because Malcolm's not here. I'm the only other one there. All right. Made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You gonna finish the questions?
Excuse me?
Are you gonna? You
What
asked,
question?
you asked I, is there anybody opposed? Is there anybody abstaining? I'm abstaining.
I've got 2 abstentions.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't hear. I wasn't asked, so I am
Okay.
abstaining. Peter?
Peter, I'm assuming
Abstaining.
you're,
Okay, so the vote is 202 for the May 13th minutes.
correct.
And I am going to ask that on the May 13th minutes, you'll see that there is absolutely no recording of what happened for the approval. So I am going to go back and ask that the minutes that are approved on 5/13, does anybody remember what they were? I have no notes. There is no recording. I believe they were for March 11th, March 25th, and was it 4/22? Does anybody have any recollection of what happened in the May 13th minutes, May 13th meeting regarding the minutes? Okay, that's
Not really.
Donna and Jimmy, do you remember what happened to those 3 sets of minutes?
No, I do not.
Then I make a recommendation that we do approve them at this time. I make a motion, we approve the March 11th minutes as presented.
Second,
Okay, that's motion made and seconded. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Peter?
Roll call, sorry, Jimmy, roll call,
Yep.
please.
Okay, roll call. Jim?
yes,
Yes.
yes,
Donna, yes. Sandy?
Yes,
Yes. Peter?
Abstain.
That was a yes. Okay, that's 4-0-0. And what was the next one, Sandy?
I make a motion that we approve the minutes of March 25th as presented.
second,
Made second. Roll, roll call. Jim, yes.
Donna, yes,
Peter
Yes.
and Sandy,
Yes,
4-0-0. And you had another set there, the 22nd?
yes. I make a motion, we approve the minutes of April 22nd as presented.
I have to abstain, so I can't.
Okay. All right, I'll second it. In favor? Jim, yes.
Donna abstain,
Donna's abstained. Sandy?
Yes,
Peter?
Yes.
3-0-1.
that now brings us up to date. For the minutes of June 10th, I'd like to add to the minutes that there was no meeting on May 27th. Just for the record, I want it in the minutes, should someone come looking for them, okay?
fine,
No problem. That's good. We did not have a meeting then.
We did not, and I just wanted in the
Okay.
record, did not.
Okay. We have on the, for sewer business, we've got review of the EDU billing. I don't believe guys had an opportunity to do a survey of the places that we had under discussion. We haven't had another meeting on it, so that's gonna have to be backburnered for the time being. We have a BioBot thing here.
Mr. Chairman, it's just for your knowledge. The town, the sewer department is involved in a COVID study. It's countrywide, sponsored by CDC, HHS, Human Health, National Institute of Health, and the federal government. And it's no charge to us. We are part of the follow-up to COVID. and we'll be testing our wastewater, 3 separate pump stations. We started Monday, and we'll report as to what COVID is in the waters, wastewaters, and we'll be specific to the areas of the town based upon the pump stations that are showing, if anything shows. This will go into a national bank, and they'll do what they have to do with it to follow COVID. The goal is to, we're in a good state right now, and we're hoping to stay there. As we open up and people start doing exciting things and becoming in contact with one another again, we'll be able to monitor what's really happening, and then turn this over to the Board of Health, and they can make decisions if they choose to. It'll be fed up to chain to the federal government, and they'll have some record of what's actually happening. So we're pleased to be a participant and accepted. And I just wanted to share that with the board, and the printout is there in your package.
Now you say we have the ability to test the product to determine whether or not there's COVID in it.
That is correct.
Okay.
We were one of the first plants involved in the infancy stage in March, when COVID first started becoming an issue and the state started shutting down. We had found COVID in our wastewater as well before COVID being, discovered within the community. So it does tell us that COVID manifests in the wastewaters, and the BioBot is a group of scientists from MIT with doctor's degrees, and they study wastewater, and they're able to tell you what's happening in the communities, and it's been very successful. So nonetheless, because COVID, some folks feel that we're done. Some folks feel we're well on our way. The government's decided to monitor it, and wastewater has become a way, just everything ends up in wastewater. It's a telltale sign. So we're fortunate and excited to be part of it, and we'll be monitoring our wastewater, again, throughout all our systems, but specifically Narrows, Hines, and Depot Street. And those are the pump stations that represent specific areas of the community. So we'll be able to monitor COVID and to actually be specific to what neighborhoods they're in or what areas of the community they're in. And if it was something that we wanted to follow through on, if we found a significant amount, we could go back to individual pump stations, because each pump station that we're testing is fed by many pump stations. So it's kind of an exciting thing. And we're pleased to be part of it. And it's no cost to us. We sample and we ship it back to the lab for MIT. They take it from there. They answer to the federal government, and they're doing all the data entry, et cetera, et cetera. We have a number, an ID number. It's on the paperwork. We're waiting for the website that we can go on, and we'll be able to see what Wareham's doing. And once I get that, I'll share, and you'll be able to go on at any time and see exactly what the results of the testing is, and you can monitor it yourself. So that'd be pretty good. So that's what BioBot is.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
My question is, Guy, is that going to be much time required to do this, to participate?
Not at all. Just a sample. And that's a good question, because we don't have any staff as it is, but nonetheless, we're going out, we grab 3 samples 3 times a week, and they provide the packaging, they provide everything, and it's sent back through FedEx.
Okay.
Okay. Guy, we've got some stuff that you sent out. We've got this report from Kleinfelder, the outfall 4th Main coordination.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I talked to the DOT, Shalita, a very nice lady who runs the Department of Transportation for the rail, about meeting with her, and she's agreed to meet. However, she wanted something to have in front of her before the meeting, so she and her group, which is Jacobs Engineering, I believe she said, can review, have some idea, And then we'd set a time to meet with them, and I'd meet with them with Kleinsfelder, myself, and the state and the state's engineering, and we'd go over the plans that we've laid out, and we think it's a good plan to show where drilling under the rail is not going to have any negative impact on the rail. And so we'll discuss it and listen to what they have to say, make some decisions, and see if they will allow us to move forward with that with the project to drill under the rail to the Cape Cod Canal. So I wanted you to have it. We will be meeting, and again, as we go along, our report back to the board is actually what the discussions are and how we're proceeding and where we're going. So the goal is to have an approval and lay out a set of plans that's going to give us pretty close to a shovel-ready project. So if funding was available through the federal government, that we'd be shovel-ready and we'd be able to take advantage of any funds that may come along. So that's I wanted you to have that. So that's for your knowledge. You can read it, see it.
It's a very interesting proposal.
Mhm.
Information is there.
Yes.
Okay.
And the other, Mr. Chairman, is the GHD is modified or updated the draft. We have a draft flow memorandum, and
Right.
so they've updated that. And I think that was something we wanted to have done before July. We started talking about all the Q concerns. And I know that this does address that issue, probably not as well as we'd like it to, or maybe the answers we'd like, but they have addressed it. So I think Russ would probably be better prepared. I mean, I could go through it, but since Russ is online, it would make more sense to have him explain it or answer any questions that you may have. You may
I was
understand.
just gonna ask him if he would mind jumping in here, because I've got a couple questions when you get to it.
Sure. Good evening. Russ Kleekamp for the record, engineer with GHD. The report that Mr. Campina was referring to is an updated flow memorandum. As everybody knows, there's the moratorium currently. The discussion was that once the new equalization basins are online, that the moratorium will be reevaluated based on the current status of the flows at the plant. So this was a report we generated some time back, but we recently updated it. So the items of particular interest you want to focus on page 4 is the table of the committed flows. That also has the queued projects. We worked with Mr. Campina to get this list up to date. But the moral of this story, and this does not include the unlimited 80 makepeace agreement. The committed flows are 246,000 gallons per day. And that's between the queued projects and the future projects that we are aware of. As you scroll on down through the report, starting on page 6, we have section 5, which is the 2020 update, which is the most recent update because we evaluated the flows from the calendar year 2020. And basically what the moral of the story is, one item of interest, the table on page 6, table 5.1. What this tells us is we all remember the year 2018 when we had the nor'easters and all the problems at the plant, so on and so forth. We averaged about 900,000 gallons per day. And over that year, there was approximately 60 inches of rain. In 2020, we averaged 980,000 gallons per day, and we had 40 inches of rain. So what this tells us is that your waste, although your overall flows appear to be, somewhat level, your actual wastewater flow is increasing. So the wastewater flow to the plant is increasing. 2020 and 2019 had less rain than 2018. So the impacts of I&I is not as prevalent as in 2018.
Excuse me one second, Russ.
Yes.
At that point, what kind of an impact do you think COVID had on this increase in flow rate? With
That is a
everybody being
really
home.
good question that we can debate and speculate on. It's hard to say 100% with certainty, but everybody's at home. They're using a lot more water at home. Restaurants aren't producing as much, obviously, but that can be offset by the amount of water that, like, I know for myself, I did all my cooking at home. I used way much more water. If you looked at my water bill, it's much higher. Probably be really interesting. You could narrow that down if you looked at water bills, residential water bills from the water department. I bet they are much higher on average because people aren't going out as much, and that would give you a very good idea. But the flows at the plant have been fairly constant, and Guy, correct me if I'm wrong, but they've been fairly constant, no really erratic highs or lows. So if you were to ask me, and this is just my opinion, is I think that if you looked at the overall pandemic, at least in Wareham, it hasn't created any artificial highs or artificial lows. I think the highs it did create with the residents using more water were offset by the lows of commercial facilities not using as much water. But again, that's only my opinion on that.
And that increased not only commercial, you think we're talking restaurants, also commercial businesses, crouton factories, things of that sort where a lot of water is consumed. So it is offset. And I think the moral of the story is COVID, we stayed neutral as far as flow to the treatment plant. We didn't gain any or lose any. And we've looked at it 3 times with 3 organizations because it was a question. So yes, it didn't affect us one way or the other.
Referring back to the draft report or memorandum that you have in front of you. I'm just looking here there was one key paragraph on page 7, the last paragraph on page 7. I think that's the number that the commission is looking for. We identify an available remaining capacity of 180,000 gallons per day. That's kind of the magic number. So that's what we're saying you can add to the plant. We know we've committed 246,000, not including Makepeace. So we have overcommitted. I think what that overcommitment tells us that expansion will be necessary in the future. That's the bottom line. There should probably be a discussion on what we want to do with shovel-ready projects. If a developer comes next month and says, "Hey, I have this business. I need 5,000 gallons per day. I'm ready to put a shovel in the ground tomorrow." Do you wait for Littleton Drive to be completed 3 years down the line before we let this guy join, or before we let someone new join? I would think, we have to keep the shovel-ready inputs coming in and then hopefully work with an expansion plan at the plant, because we don't want to stop all connections now just for some of these far-reaching, future projects that are to be determined. And I saw another one, a facility, I think it was on Sandwich Road, being proposed when I looked at the Wareham Week online, a very large, another large facility being proposed in town. So moral of the story is that we have overcommitted more capacity than we have. We know expansion is necessary. I believe the beta group's working on the comprehensive wastewater management plan, which will identify recommendations for the future moving forward. Obviously we're aware of the potential for the outfall and some other ideas that have come up, but that's the formal document that identifies the approach for the future. It's endorsed by DEP, and you get your SRF funding, so on and so forth. But I'll leave it at that for the flow memorandum and do my best to answer any questions.
Okay, Russ, for your information, that project on Sandwich Road is the assisted living facility that we've already committed for 10,140.
Very good.
That's already in our committed.
I see. Yep, right there, assisted living facility. Thank you.
I didn't want you to be, where'd that come from?
I'm sure there'll be another project in next week's paper. Where'd that come from?
I think one of the questions that Russ raises is an example, the assisted living facility on Sandwich Road. That's probably been a commitment for 5, 6, 7 years. It's been a while.
But they have to, but don't they have to do something in order to get that commitment?
Well, I think that has to be defined. We seem to have policies that are open-ended. So the question becomes, we said that if you, at the end of the year, if you don't use it, you lose it. So we also were supposed to find, I believe Jim was going to have a conversation with Mr. Bowen, that can we go backwards? Those that we committed to as assisted living, that's been 5 or 6 years ago. Can we say to them, hey, buddy, you got a year to use it or lose it? Because what's happening, and look at Woodland Cove, it was a 3-year project. We committed for 3 years. Well, they're getting ready to go now. They're pulling permits and they're ready to go. But when you deal with 40Bs in some of these projects, they need funding and a lot of things to happen before they're realities. Or Tremont Nail comes along. Now, I guess that's shovel ready. I don't know if the fund's all there and they can go at it. But then you compare that to Littleton Drive, that may be 3-4 years if they get funded. And I don't believe it's a guarantee to get funded. No one's told me it's guaranteed. I think everybody says the applications, it looks good, and we all have good, positive, bubbly things to say. But I don't know if it's a guarantee. So I think the town or the board has to make some decisions as to what we do with the 180 we have and the 270 committed. Who gets it, who doesn't get it? Do we do shovel ready? Do we do wait and see? That's going to be a board call.
Don't you think that it would behoove us to come up with a policy, a standard policy that if when you're granted it, you have a certain time frame to use it. If not, it was going to, you were going to lose it, like you said.
I believe we already did that.
We did. Okay.
Is
So
that
what is
correct,
it?
Guy?
What is the time frame?
Guy, is that not correct?
Well, so I can go back to the meeting minutes and we talked about it and we said it's a great idea. I don't know if it's been crystallized or solidified, and I will verify that by the minutes. I think Sandy probably has the exact minutes also. And so what I'm saying with a policy has to not, I would suggest absolute. A equals B equals C. So if we're saying that you have 1 year, we give you a gallon. You have 1 year to use that gallon. At the end of the day, you do not use the gallon, then you do not have that gallon. It goes to the next person in line that's ready. So I think
No, I believe that discussion that was put in place was that you have a year to use it unless you come back to us with a reason it needs to be extended.
There's a review. That's right. There's a review
And we would
period.
take that into consideration first before we eliminated it.
All right. That's
So
good.
and I think that Lisa Littleton Drive can come back every year and say, we're a little closer. We got a better letter, and we can drag that out for 4 or 5 years until they get the satisfaction. And that's why I'm saying the policy, I hear what you're saying.
I don't believe that would be what we would consider.
Okay, because that would be the intent. of the board.
Arbitrary things. I mean, what we're saying, if you're in the mill, if you're in the mix of getting things done and you're at a stage where you need some additional time before you can affect it, if that time is reasonable, all things considered, it would get extended.
And that would not be retroactively applied. So everything that is committed would not be subject to that. Anything that we are adding first of July could very well have that stipulation, but it cannot be retroactively
I
applied.
don't believe that's correct, Sandy. I believe that this was put in place already. And so it applies back to when we put it in place.
And when did we put it in place?
I believe we did it at one of these meetings. I just don't remember
Which-
the date.
But since then, I don't think we've approved any project.
We all may not have.
But anything that was approved prior to that discussion, even though I don't remember voting on it, you don't have that restriction on them that has been previously approved. They're grandfathered in without a
Yeah.
time frame.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go
I'm
ahead, Matt.
back.
I've been here the whole time. I don't know.
I've seen you.
I missed you. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm present. I was a couple of minutes late. I had to get the dog squared away because I actually went down and did some work today, believe it or not, down Cape. So
Whoa, whoa.
I know.
Got the boat in the water?
It felt terrible. Yeah, the boat's in the water.
Okay.
I thought we were advised by council that if we have a public hearing, we can pull those gallons back.
I believe.
They're not,
that's correct.
yeah, they're not simply grandfathered.
Right.
So
Okay,
we have to have a hearing, so that's what we do.
Yep.
Okay.
You know, I still have a big issue with this because we have gallons out there that are committed and we can't bill for them.
Yeah,
That
that you
makes it
said,
more expensive for everybody else.
that's. It does because we've given the commitments and we're withholding.
Yeah. And I
you're
think
right.
the policy going forward is more than
Yep.
fair 1 year unless you have a hardship. Come in and talk to us. If you don't, you're gonna lose it. So,
so that list on page 4, which is committed, flow, future flows, we need a public hearing on every one of them to determine if they're still going to be able to use that commitment.
Well, I would suggest we review it because if you look at something like Bay Point, they're actively using it. They're cutting land, they're building houses, they're working their way towards, and they did tell us in phases, so they're actually working it. Great Hill has been working theirs. Theirs almost is ready to come online once the ownership transfers. Woodland Cove, absolutely. They're pulling their permits, they've got their credits, they're getting ready to go. Robertson's Dental Delta, they're putting up Chipotle as we speak, and the other ones are up. Bourne is Bourne. Chapel Lane, they have a year. He's got his paperwork, his engineer's ready
Okay,
to go.
so what you're saying is everything on this list, except for maybe the assisted living, is well in its way of being done.
That's absolutely. The single family homes, I don't know about. We had plans, but I've seen nothing. I have to look at the dates of those. 80 Makepeace is, I talked to them. They're sending me a letter. The second medical building is ready to go. So they'll max out there. So yeah, everything that is less the queue pretty much is committed. We're going to use it. So if you back out
Okay,
the 37, you'd see that we're pretty close to the 180. I'm sorry, you'll have the 180 left. That's what I'm saying, because these are already committed. Am I correct, Russ, or am I missing that?
Say that one more time, Doug.
The 250 minus the 37. So in other words, when you look at Bourne, Robertson's, et cetera, those are committed flows. They're not part of the 180 that we have remaining.
Correct. That's just the 180. That's in a world of pretend you had zero commitments. If someone just said, hey, how much more flow can you put in your plant before you start, things start going awry? It's 180,000 gallons per day on average.
So
that
to
we
make
can
sure I
have.
understand you, I want to make sure I understand you. What we have committed, Bourne, Robertson, Bay Point, Great Hill, those things are not part of that 180. So we have 180,000 gallons remaining.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
So if we granted everything in the queue, we'd have 140 something thousand remaining.
No, you have 246 in the queue.
Okay, so that go back to my question. The upper part, Bourne, Robertson's, Bay Point, all that added up, that
Everything-
is not part, or is it part of the 180 committed? So therefore, what do we have actually left to utilize? Because these are in the process. They're being
180.
180 is what you have left to utilize.
and it does not include, so 180 and what's on the 3.1 table doesn't include, it's not included.
Correct. Correct.
so
One-
what you're
correct.
saying, right now, we're overcommitted by 66,000. That's the 246 minus the 180, we're overcommitted. Sorry, not overcommitted. We've got queues in the project. It exceeds by 66,000 gallons.
100% correct, with the caveat that it also does not include that open-ended 80 Makepeace agreement. So
Yeah,
So that's a, I'm not really concerned. I don't get me wrong, it's there, right? But I don't think that's, because I just want to make it, because these projects are actively, so we're going to get them. Yes. So I want to be clear, and I apologize for asking it over and over and over again, but I want us to be perfectly clear in where we are, where we're going to go, and what we need to do. Because these projects are active. The condos on mine, if they're getting ready to tap into the force main.
Okay, Russ,
So
Russ,
that's where we are.
the 180,000 gallons. If that got utilized, what would that do to us?
So it's going to put you at that place where you're almost at 100% capacity for your
By
discharge
100%.
permit,
For the discharge permit,
for the discharge permit. And then,
Okay,
but you
not-
also,
not for the capacity of the plant.
yes and no, by design, the plant is designed for a 2 million gallon a day.
Affirmative.
We have seen occurrences and flows that have overwhelmed the plant.
No,
Just
I understand
So-
it. We're just playing the numbers at the moment
Correct.
before we
Yep.
get into those other things.
Yep. Okay, so say you tied in 180,000 gallons worth of committed flows, you're going to be, at the 94, 95% of your discharge capacity.
Right.
But you run that risk depending on what we get for rain, high groundwater, very,
No, I understand. I realize that, and I realize we've got to have that,
Yep.
that safety factor in there someplace.
But
And
part of that
100
safety factor, we put those new equalization basins in to help buffer, the I concerns. We're doing a project now
Right.
to help with the
That
deep.
won't become but the other thing, the D-night filters won't be in place for another year.
Yes, and that will not add to your treatment capacity at the plant.
No, but it will help prevent backups, won't it?
It will. It will not. But that design capacity of 2 MGD will not be increased.
Well, I
Because we're
understand.
at it, yeah.
That's right.
Yep.
Correct.
Yep.
Okay. So what we have on the sheet right now, the 246, that can all go in right now. Is that correct?
No, only 180.
No,
Only 180 of it, Ken.
only 180 of it, Jimmy.
Okay, then I misunderstood what you're talking about here.
Yeah, the table on 3.1, that's just the list of people that want to add flow, and that's how much flow we see in the horizon coming to the plant.
We don't have it yet. It's on its way.
But we don't have it yet. What you have remaining, think of the two as total, like just two separate entities. What you have remaining is 180,000 gallons at the plant. That's how much you can.
Okay, and so in this 246 is what we have potentially coming on.
Correct.
Yes.
And what
Okay.
that confirms is the need for expansion. I
Right.
mean, we know we
Okay.
need to go get our
Now-
discharge permit.
Okay,
And
that-
to answer your
That's the
question, Jim,
discharge expansion. It's the discharge expansion that we're talking about right at the moment.
Correct.
yes.
Okay,
Because
that
if the
discharge
plant can do,
It's
the plant can
increased,
do, I'm sorry.
then we
Yeah.
have
Come
the
on,
capability.
folks, one at a time.
Okay,
Oh, I thought he was done. I
no,
apologize.
if the discharge expansion gets increased, we can go up higher.
Yep.
All
The
right.
plant can treat 2 million
So-
gallons. So
right.
that's the highest we can go if we
The
did nothing to
primary
the
thing
plant.
we're looking at right now is get increased expansion. Or
For the discharge, correct.
discharge rather.
And then pretty before we know it, within 5 to 10 years, that 2 million, I can
Oh,
see
yeah.
in the crystal ball that's going to be breached as well, which will mean, treatment expansion.
I agree with you, totally, but the immediacy is the discharge in order to
Correct.
be able to continue forward. So the
Correct.
discharge is either got to come from a groundwater discharge source or being able to expel more into the Agawam or being able to get a pipeline to the canal.
Or all of that, or you can decrease I&I, which we know is, challenge to do. The town's, pursued that. But correct, Mr. Chairman, yes, on those items. Those are your options.
So those are basically the three primary options. And we've got the reduce I&I is something we're going to be working on forever anyway.
Yeah, that's more of a housekeeping. So yeah, we have the
Right.
outfall, relocate the outfall, adjust the existing permit, increase the permit, or potential if you look at another treatment site, in general, whether it's a groundwater discharge or it's a whole nother treatment site at a different location in town. I mean, they're all big ticket items, but ultimately, when it comes time for that expansion beyond the 2 MGD, one of those items will have to be selected. And it's usually whichever the I don't want to say cheapest, but the most financially feasible option is.
Exactly. Okay, so then we have to review this list that you have given us on page 4 and determine what's going to survive and what isn't.
Jimmy, just for I didn't get a copy of that report that Russ was.
It was on, it was online. I went down and got a hard copy. That's why I'm looking.
I
at
went
it.
down to pick up the hard copies, but it wasn't in there.
As it
Today?
came after the fact.
That came
Yeah.
after the fact.
We just got this, we put it on, we sent it electronically.
Yeah.
And then I think today, folks come down and picked up a copy hard
I did.
of this, but I just sent it electronically.
Yeah.
Right.
Just
Because
give it
when
to
I
me.
went to the plant, I asked for a copy of it hard,
Yes.
because I know it was sent, what was it? Guy sent it to us earlier this week, what, Tuesday?
I think Tuesday, Wednesday or something. When I got it from Ross, we discussed
It
it
was
back and
Wednesday.
forth. And then we put it out. Right? It may have been yesterday. They
Yeah.
said, yeah, it probably was yesterday. We put it out.
Because it
Yes,
came
correct.
out, it came out after she had sent out the information on the meeting.
That's correct.
Okay. Okay, that clarifies it for me. I understand more what we're doing now. That's not that I'm happy with it, but
I
it
think we
makes
could
more
have had,
it makes more sense.
with everything considered, I think there could have been worse news. At least we have flow
Yeah.
available to keep connections coming in and to keep things
Yeah.
happening. We just have to be diligent on our actions moving forward.
Got you.
We can handle most of our commitments, at least 180 of our commitments that we can handle.
Russ, is there any reason why there is no amount next to the tower terrace?
It's a single family home, so probably 330 gallons. I think that was late. Remember, we just tabled it. We didn't get into the details. I think that was last meeting or meeting before.
That
I
was
forget.
Yeah, it was the April 22nd meeting.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
that's, so that 330 needs to be added to the total?
Again, yes, that's in the queue, and we could, yes. So yes, to answer your question, add it to the queue, increase everything by 330, and that's our assumption. It's a single family home, so, and I didn't see.
So we're now
300s.
246, 330. So we're
Okay.
66, 330 gallons short.
We'll try to find them.
Correct. We can, and again, this list is going to constantly need updating, and, it's just something that we really need to keep an eye on. And again, Guy, if you get projects in the queue and want to send it over to us, we'll keep it updated. More than happy to do that. And, we'll sound the alarm when we're getting close. But yes, we can, to answer Commissioner Slavin's question, yes, we can change that to the 330 for a single family home.
And I believe because of the 40B projects, I don't think we have a way out that we have to accommodate three 40B projects that are on the list.
It's a valid point. It's a valid point.
So that would be the Knapp one, the Brian Grady one, and the Littleton Drive. Those three are all 40Bs.
It's my understanding that the zoning board is going to approve them all.
Oh, I think they've all been approved.
Okay, so so now it's just a question of when we're going to get them. When are they going to physically come online? So again, do we reserve that gallons for when they come online? Give them away and try to find more gallons when the others come online? I'm not so sure.
Or we give it to them and say you have X amount of time to use it. If not, you go to the bottom of the list.
That gonna work with 40B?
Well, that's a good point, because everything with them is progressional.
Yep.
That makes sense. It's a process. It isn't just tomorrow. It's a major process. They got to keep jumping hoops and crossing hurdles before they get to the fun. And then the state, I believe, has to have tickets or whatever they call it, chits, so they can have the funding. All that stuff is a process in itself.
At the same time, we're going through the process of trying to find additional discharge.
Yes. Yes.
So hopefully, optimistically, we would be able to come up with additional discharge prior to being saddled with all of this stuff at the same time.
Well, it's just money. Only we could do
Is
it. It's economics.
Is there a chance the increase in discharge, we can use this as a point that 40B is coming in and we must have more? And because 40B, maybe we can increase our discharge?
I don't know if that argument, if we went to DEP and said, we have these 40Bs, so you have to, the state's telling us we have to tie them in, so you have to let us expand the permit.
Just thinking.
No, it's a great, I'm kind of at the stance, Commissioner White said a while back, let the state come and tell us what to do if we hit the capacity issue. And I think that's what we need to do.
I have an answer for you, but I will not say it publicly. If you want to stop by the plant, I'll give you the answer to that question.
Okay.
I have the answer.
All right. Shucks. So at what point do we now start saying, we have some numbers, it's an updated flow capacity issue. When do we start releasing our moratorium on this? Wasn't it June?
It's not July yet.
No, it's
So
not
it's July 1st.
Well, wait a minute. It's been 90 degrees. It may probably officially July by weather. Maybe not by date, but by weather.
Well,
Yep.
yeah, we're gonna have to kick this one around just a little. Yeah, I don't think we'll release go off the moratorium until at least July. See where we go with the rest of this.
And I really don't see how we can ever get rid of a moratorium given the condition we're in.
I agree.
Well, probably not. But what we may wind up looking at is we eliminate the existing moratorium and reestablish a new one
Mhm.
based on the information that we've have now.
Okay.
That I think would probably be the better way to go. Unless somebody has another idea.
Yeah, but where are we gonna come up with 66,000 gallons?
In a gallon bucket.
You know that little pond right across the street from the Narrows? We put it in there.
Stop by, Sandy. I'll give you the answer. I honest to God haven't. You're gonna, when you hear it, you'll appreciate it. You really will.
I don't think Sandy liked the other spot.
And Sandy, I'll take it one step further. I got the answer from the EPA and the DEP to that question you have. I already got the answer.
Okay,
I've asked the question many times. I really have an answer. We don't like the answer. Russ wasn't happy with the answer. Joe wasn't happy with the answer. The
You've
engineers
gotten
weren't
it from
happy.
both agencies. What the hell is it?
But I don't want to, I don't, talk by the plan. I don't want to put it on the public. I don't want to publicize it. That's all I'm saying.
Fine.
They told me in confidence. They told me in the conversation. I'll tell it to you in the conversation. I won't say it to the entire town.
That's fine.
That's all. Pretty straightforward.
That's fine.
Stop by.
Okay.
I'll give you the answer.
Moving on.
Thank you.
Anything more on this report? Anybody have any more questions on this?
I have one question.
Yes, sir.
The 100,000 gallons that Bourne it's committed to. What is that? Is that they haven't used it?
That is correct. We gave them 200,000 gallons. That's our IMA. They've only used approximately 98,000. We're getting ready to put a meter at the manhole coming from the Bourne pump station to us. We'll know exactly what they're using because they've never had a certified or a flow meter that has been calibrated. So we really don't know what they're giving us. We're using numbers. So the bottom line is, to answer your question, is 200,000 gallons is committed to them. They're saying they're using approximately 100 gallons, so we're holding 100 gallons for them. Once we're done meeting for the summer, we'll see.
Is the Narrows pump station the only place they pump into our system?
No, Cohasset Narrows, and also they pump it. Well, yeah, you're right. Cohasset Narrows. There's two areas. One comes from up above Red Brook Road, and one comes over the bridge. So yes,
But it all goes through Cohasset Narrows?
that's right. And they send us
Okay,
two
so
sets of numbers.
we only need the one.
Well, it'll give us the majority of the flow comes
It'll
through.
give us what's coming up, because remember, their flow comes into the Cohasset manhole in Indian Mound Beach, and at that point it mingles with ours. So, but they're giving us numbers from the pump station that's in Hideaway Village. The numbers they're giving us aren't certified or calibrated. They could be right or they could not be right. And that's the goal. So if we take the numbers that we're getting from the pump station at the fire station and we compare those to what they're giving us to what our meter's saying, then we'll have a concept of where we may or may not be. We don't know, but
When will this meter be online?
that's a good question. Probably within a month. We've already ordered it. They got to come, they got to put it in. set it up, and then it'll go online. So within the month.
So is it hypothetical that we may have an additional 100,000 gallons available?
No,
No.
the 200,000 is theirs. What we're trying to ascertain
Why?
is how much of the two are they using?
Why is 200 theirs?
Because it's in the IMA. We made an agreement.
In the agreement.
We made an intermunicipal agreement.
Yeah,
200,000 gallons is theirs.
We've got a legal agreement with them. So,
Okay, I have before we go off the
Sandy.
topic, in our packet, we were given a list of the pending projects on hold and only 6 were listed. I asked why GATRA was not listed from the February 25th meeting, and I was told there was no vote taken on it. And I went back
What it
and we
was.
never voted on putting GATRA on our list of pending projects.
That's correct.
So that was done on 2/25, so maybe we should, at this time, vote to put the GATRA at 3 Tow Road on our master list because it's now included on page 4 of this document.
I thought we had done that.
No or yes?
Yes, let's make a motion to do that right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That would be number 7.
Well, I have it in number 4, but yes, it would be number 7, GATRA.
Okay,
And Sandy, what else is going to 3 Toll Road? I just read something in the paper that something else is going into 3 Toll Road.
Well, a brand new gas station.
No,
Yeah.
I didn't know. I don't think that was Toll Road. I think their address may have been Cranberry Highway.
yeah, that's highway.
But the GATRA, I'm not aware of anything going out on Toll Road.
Yeah, because 3 Toll Road came up in the paper this past week. Something was going there, and I thought it might have been in conjunction. with
What paper?
I believe it was the Wareham Week or something.
Hmm.
So I read them a week back. I apologize. I'm back. I'll revisit it and find out. Actually, I'll go on the town's website to see if anything's been discussed, the permitting. I thought you may have known.
No, I'm not aware of it.
Okay.
Where is it?
Okay, okay, on the GATRA, do you want to make a motion on that, Sandy?
I make a motion that we put the GATRA project for 3 Tow Road on our list of pending projects.
Do you remember the gallons?
Well,
5,000.
yeah, that's what Russ's report says, 5,000. And I'm going to go back and on 225, we talked about it. It says an estimated 10,000, oh, sorry, estimated 1,000. Wash the business employees, frequently new hookup. So this would be number 4 on the list. The pump station into Kendrick, then to Springboard, then Hatcher. So February 25th is when we discussed it and there was no gallons given
No, and I talked
in my notes.
I think because 1,000, I talked to Ken, I think last week, and he suggested around 1,000. They said that there's a facility in Plymouth that we could go get some actual hard numbers because they were going to replicate that. But he said it may be around 1,000. So between 1,000 and 5,000 would probably be appropriate. We can follow up with what they're doing in Plymouth. I believe they said Plymouth to get some
Okay,
actual
so
gallons.
I make a motion, we put the GATRA project from 3 Toll Road on our master list of queued projects.
A second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
yeah,
I,
cool.
I,
Donna, is that an aye? Okay, 500.
thank you. I just wanted to make sure
No, that's fine.
we did the, 'cause I've been saying it's missing and I was
So we
told,
got
well, we
that
never
down.
voted on it, so, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, do you want letters to go out to each of the 40 Bs to look for position or at least updates, maybe ask for biannual updates or something along that line? I think we have 3 of them that we.
I think it would be beneficial for us if you asked for that, if we got them.
For all the projects, all
clues to-
7 of them, not just
You want all the
3.
projects? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, we only got 7.
yeah.
Okay.
Because who knows, maybe it's not no longer in the queue and they're decided to change their mind because some of this goes back.
I
Okay,
don't know about that.
And Santa Claus is coming when?
Yeah.
December 24th. I don't think he's changed his date yet.
Guy, do you have anything else to offer?
I could enlighten you all day, but it's late. Let me just go over a couple of quick things. We talked about capacity. I want, this is probably more of a public announcement. We're getting a lot of calls on grass cutting at the pump stations. We have 45 of them. I don't have the staff. Our highest priority is to make sure that they're pumping and making sure the pump station is operational. We do have one guy that cuts lawns whenever he has a chance to. So I'm asking the public to please be patient. And I would suggest if it's really bothering you, we have pump stations where the residents are mowing them because they just want them mowed. And a lot in onset because it's they have a lot going on and they mow them. I'm not telling you have to. What I'm saying is if it bothers you, then call us and we'll give you permission to mow it. But nonetheless, we'll get there as soon as we can. But we
so
have
they're
too many to get
complaining
them.
because the grass is high?
Correct. Correct. So we'll get to them when we can. I just want that to be known because we'll get more. I've gotten 3 this week. And I try to explain to individuals, and they say, I pay taxes, that lawn should be cut. I say, okay, I can cut the lawn, or I got 2 choices, cut the lawn or let the sewer system back up. I don't know. I think that's more of a priority.
And their taxes doesn't pay, I'm sorry, their taxes
it.
doesn't pay for you to mow the lawn. Their EDU rate does.
Well, and they confuse the two, but keep in mind, the EDU rate pays for me to treat their product. It's all it pays for. It doesn't pay for anything else. It doesn't pay for me to.
So wait a minute. So are you saying your staff mows or does the municipal maintenance mow?
Our staff mows. And I don't
Therefore,
have the
their
staff.
salary runs the plan. Okay, never mind. Just to,
Okay, so
I
anyways,
nitpick. I'm sorry.
no, but you got a good point. But I just want them to know, we'll get to them, please. It's not like we're saying you have a bad neighbor, we're not going there. We're saying is we'll get to them as we can. That's all I'm saying. So we'll take your calls and we'll take your complaints, but please be patient because you just can't get to them as quick as we'd like to get to them. So I wanted to put that out there. I'm still looking for the board to sign and return Kleinsfelder. I think we did it a couple weeks ago. We sent them out by emails and all that good stuff. I don't know where they are. Surely like to have them back because I can't move that contract forward without it. The Narrows project we have for the Primus lining. For a quick reminder, it's a savings. I don't know. It's going to cost about 2.3 million, opposed to 6.8 to replace it. We have to raise the wear at the pump station 3.1 feet to make it work. We're looking at that now to keep that project moving forward. It's a real good project and it's a money saver. So we're still working on that. We're pulling some coupons from the Heinz pump station, Forest Main. It's the exact same age as Narrows. We could assume it's the same condition, but we'll pull just 2 coupons at the highest points so we can verify that. So there wouldn't be any questions as to why we didn't check. So that's that. The condos I told you are tying in, so that's a good thing. I'll make sure when they do the permitting, because we had some conditions, and that was a bond, reputable contract, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll make sure all that is happening. I told you Woodland Cove is full of permit, and they're rocking and rolling. So we need to know that. All the paperwork that the town needs to sign, Derek has signed them. They're at the DEP. DEP has them. They're turning them. Patricia has told us within a week she'll have her answer, and then the project will be on go. and then the fine things, the contract that we, just so everybody's aware, the original contract we got from GHD, they reduced it to help us because we're over, the bids came in a lot higher than was anticipated. We have a $9 million line of credit and the bids came in at 10 million. So we've asked everybody to pull their bootstraps, and GHD was really good to do that. They cut some cost. So we have to do another contract. Rich said all the approvals are good. We just, because the contract is less money. So that's being submitted to be signed, and that's the final hurdle. That's being taken care of as we speak. I talked to Judy about it yesterday, so that's going to be a good thing. Roots, guys, we've had these conversations, and it's really, I was at I think, Donna, your neighbor, or was one of your neighbors. I was at their house today.
Right next door to me, Danny Unite. Yeah.
Yeah, and they've got a lateral where it connects. The trees have gotten into it, and they can't use their sewer. It's dicey because, we put a lateral from the street to their property line. And at that point, they hire a contractor to make the connection. And that's the weakest point of the line. That's where roots will look to get into. So their roots get into it. And so what happens is the root blocks that and starts on down the lateral. So it crosses over to town property. So they say, well, it's on town property, so you should pay for it. We don't plant trees in roads. We just haven't for years. Whether we're going to do that in the future, I can't tell you. But the roots are coming from your property, from the homeowner's property through the connection. And so what we're saying by our policy is we're not touching it. We'll help you make some decisions, but we are not going to pay to repair it. I just wanted to get that out there again because it's becoming more common. July, August, we're going to pick up again and do our root program. We hire a company to come in and they spray lines internally from our force mains and it shoots it up the laterals. And what that does is coats the line. So when fingerlings of the roots come in, it kills them. We'll do our diligence. We also give away, we spend thousands, we give away root kill. You can get all you want because they're a problem. There's trees everywhere. Trees and sewer don't get along well. They just don't. So if you have pipes and every pipe has connections, if you have plastic pipes, they have connections. That root is going to work its way. Those rubber gaskets are not forever. And that root will work its way into your pipe and it'll stop your pipe from flowing. And so the town position has been and will continue to be until someone changes that they're not our trees, they're not our connections. So please, I suggest you come down and get some root kill at it. We'll do our diligence by doing the main gravity mains, and we just all work as a team to keep it out of the lines because we've done a few and it's continuing to become a problem. So I just want to get that out there. I got others, but I think that's the gist of the bulk of what I wanted to get out tonight because those things to me were pretty important. And I think that's all I have.
Okay, Sandy, go ahead.
I'm not sure where I heard this or how I heard this, but are federal funds available to replace sump pumps with grinder pumps?
I don't know. I don't know. I do know that we're applying for a grant to look into that, to do some research and some.
Would it be great if we had everybody in sump pumps in Hamilton and Swiss and replace them with grinder pumps?
That's the goal. It's a tough sell, but it's the goal because
we've got to do something. What I
absolutely, and that's why we said in Weweantic, Swiss Beach for sure. We have a bad pipe, so there's no sense in replacing pipes. We're going to put grinder pumps. That's all there is to it. And grinder pumps eliminate. You're right. Okay. You're right on.
Did I dream it or did I hear it from somebody?
I don't know. I haven't heard of funds available, but I'll look into it.
There's a lot of federal funds available for water, sewer, and internet.
I know there's a lot of COVID money available for sewer.
We've got to take our piece of it. We really do.
The discussion on grinder pumps for Swiss Beach was one that we had at one of our meetings that Guy brought up, the direction that we would like to go with Swiss Beach. But as far as have funding for it, that's another whole discussion.
It is.
we didn't have a discussion on that because we
I
didn't
know,
have,
I heard it, that,
Well, you know, I hope you did someplace and I hope it's real and I hope we can find out what it is.
because that federal fund, we have got to take our chunk of it. We really
Yep.
do. And it's not the CARES, it's not the CARES one, it's the other one for infrastructure. Water,
Okay.
sewer, and
Russ-
internet.
Yeah,
Russ,
Mr. Chairman, one thing I can add is that a little while back, we submitted a BRIC grant to FEMA, BRIC, Building Resilient Infrastructure Communities. The round we applied for, I believe, had $40 million of funding to divvy out. FEMA got back to me. They said the next round is going to have $1 billion. Now, granted, it's a national program, but that 1 billion is divvied up to the 50 states. And if, you know, resiliency is something we're thinking about and you want to look at replacing Swift's Beach with all grinder pumps, you know, you can make a solid argument. You know, that's a very good, what the question I don't know is if it's for shovel-ready projects only. I believe we applied for the BRIC because the pump station, the project we had were done under a previous grant. But that's the sort of funding that potentially could, you know,
Could
fund
you do me a
major.
favor, Russ, and ask the
Yeah.
question? Because if we have to be shovel ready, we could probably get Swiss Speech fast track to make it shovel ready. So if you could ask the question, where we need to be, that'd be appreciated. And then we can at least make some plans. If this money is going to be next year, we can make some plans to be shovel ready for some projects we have that will address that resiliency, which is water, et cetera. So I'd appreciate that. That'd be great.
I'll definitely ask the question. I'm 90% sure that it is. But regardless, having those plans shovel ready, this is just one, the BRIC Avenue. There's going to be likely other funding sources that typically do want to have shovel ready. So if there's an opportunity to make that project shovel ready, yes, of course, Guy, I'll ask the question. But regardless of what the answer is, the town should still move forward and try to get it shovel ready because something will pop up at some point.
I just asked Alan, and that funds are called ARPA, ARPA. Billions for water, sewer, and internet.
And so what's the contact? Can you call somebody for that? Just ARPA, ARP, I'll call them.
ARPA,
ARPA, RPA, ARPA, ARPA.
Yep. which is different than the CARES, Act.
Yeah,
But
because the
to me,
CARES Act,
That's
Right.
that's nothing to do with this construction. That's COVID related support, but this ARPA is for sewer and water, and we better get our change. We better get our piece.
well, I'll do that. And even though CARES wasn't for, I've got communities that got up to $3 million through the CARES to
Yeah.
replace sewer. So it's there too. Everything had a piece of money for sewer.
But this one is specifically for our needs.
I will
Okay,
look at-
sorry.
Yep, great. ARPA. I will look at that, let you know what I find out.
we only want 10% of it.
Well, I'm greedy. When it comes to sewer and the enterprise, I want it all.
Well, if they've got
No,
a
no
bill,
disrespect to the town, but I want it all.
if the billion is out there, we only want 10%. We're not going to be greedy.
I want it all.
Okay,
Okay, I do.
Okay. Moving forward. Does anybody have any new business to add? Mac,
No, sir.
No,
Donna,
I make a motion that we adjourn.
I guess
To
that's
the
new
20
business.
to the 24th of June.
Yeah.
Okay. Do I have a second? I usually don't have a second. Was that a second, Peter?
yes,
Yeah, okay. All in
what time
favor?
is it? Aye.
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 Time at the time at the gong is 7:38.
And said, if you don't have time to come down, you can call me. I'll give
Okay.
you the answer.
Guy, can I get a copy of that report? I'll pick it up
yes.
tomorrow.
Ken, absolutely.
Thank you, dear.
Yeah, it's an interesting report. You
Mhm.
need to read it.
I will. I read all my materials.
Very good.
Good night.
Night.
Mac,
Good
it's
night.
good to see you.